Good evening, everybody. I am here with the head of Raspberry, John Wilson, creator of the Razzie Awards.
Good evening. Can I blow you a nice big juicy raspberry?
Yeah. Okay. So, why don't you introduce yourself and the Razzies to those who are not aware of it?
Well, the Razzies have been around for 34 years now, and we are basically the opposite of all the other 357 movie award shows. They're all talking great up here, and we're down here going. We dishonor what we consider to be the worst achievements in film. We try to keep a sense of humor about it. And what I like to say is we don't consider ourselves a slap in the face. We're more like a banana peel on the floor. And we hope the people that we're picking on can have fun with it. So far, the track record's not very good on that, to be honest.
All right. So, how did it all start?
I can remember when the thought of creating it came into my head. In the summer of 1980, I paid less than an American dollar to see two really bad disco musicals, The Village People in Can't Stop the Music and Olivia Newton-John in a movie called Xanadu. And I asked for my 99 cents back. And when they wouldn't give it to me, I remember driving home. It was August. I had all my windows down. And I was just thinking, well, those two movies deserve an award for being among the worst things I've ever seen. And then off the top of my head, I could name Raise the Titanic, Saturn III, The Formula, Windows. There were a dozen titles at least without my even researching it that would qualify for such an award. So at the Oscar potluck dinner party that I did the next spring, we put up a cardboard podium, put a foam ball on a broomstick and made it look like a microphone, and we're just basically riffing. And we hauled people up from the buffet table and did the first Razzie ceremony, which everyone who was there thought was absolutely hilarious. And it's just, gone on from there.
One second. So, how does the ceremony go through? Like, you start with an opening number, or
Yeah, I'm working on lyrics right now. There really wasn't a big budget movie musical this year, but here in America, NBC did a live broadcast of The Sound of Music, which almost everybody has seen. And what I'm working on is one of the songs from that, my favorite things as the Razziest things. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. And then after the opening number, we have credits that name who the nominees are. We bring out presenters in tuxes and evening gowns. We read really funny, really mean critics quotes. And we try to make it look like a real award show, but it's the opposite of that.
From what I've seen, it's like the anti-Oscar Halle Berry's graduation.
Oh, yeah.
What do you call it?
You had asked earlier, among the people who have come, and we have clips of them on our YouTube Razzie channel, among the people who have shown up and actually had fun with it are Halle Berry, who followed up her Oscar win with Catwoman. But it's a great speech. She's so funny and self-deprecating. And she's got the Oscar in one hand and the Razzie in the other.
Yeah.
The other one who actually showed up at our show the night before she won the Oscar for Blindside is Sandra Bullock, who that same year had also been in an awful movie called All About Steve. And she showed up with a little red wagon full of DVDs, and everyone in the audience got one. I doubt anyone's ever opened it to watch it because they all still like to vote for it. That's not a movie you'd want to see again.
It really seems awful. The movie.
It's not her at her best. And, she's up for Best Actress again this year. Clearly she's a talented woman. This is, a mistake.
Agents and stuff. So you're about to do an Indiegogo campaign. Why now? Why not earlier?
We actually have launched our campaign. What we are looking at is next year we'll be 35 years old, and that seems like the logical point to try and put together some kind of a broadcast deal, whether it's streaming on the internet or actually on cable or broadcast TV, whatever. And so what we're wanting to do this year is, with the help of Indiegogo, raise funds, put on a high-end show, and then use that material to help us pitch for 35th broadcast.
All right, just some questions now,
Hmm?
if you're willing to answer. Your favorite movie that has won the Razzies, or the
Mm,
best worst movie ever made?
there's actually three of them. I can't, and they all have something to do with show business. My early favorite was Mommy Dearest, the one with Faye Dunaway and the wire hangers. That I have never seen that with an audience where they didn't just give up on the idea that it's a drama and just start laughing hysterically.
It's not you I'm
Um,
mad at, it's the dirt.
yes, you have to polish the floor. You have to move the tree.
Yeah.
Uh,
Crazy movie. Actually, that's one of the movies I'm reviewing this week. So, yes.
have fun with it. Another one is the first film ever to get more nominations than we had categories. A little thing that Pia Zadora's billionaire husband at the time spent several million making. He bought her a Harold Robbins novel called The Lonely Lady.
Oh, yes.
It is really just a mess. It's never been on video. We keep hoping that they will do a Razzie edition of it on DVD. And then the more recent one, and the one most younger people do know because it's within the last 10 years or so, um, Showgirls.
Oh yeah, that's one of the movies too.
And it's Showgirls also has the distinction of being the first film for which a winner showed up in the hall. Paul Verhoeven,
Yeah,
who directed Showgirls, did attend the ceremony and was quite funny and totally got it and had a great time.
I have the picture somewhere here. It's the, yeah, this picture right here in the book.
Oh yes,
Yeah, the official Razzie guide.
yes.
Yes. Let's see, right. The absolute worst movie you can think of right now.
Inchon. It won our Worst Picture Award. I think it was the second year. It might have been the third. It was pretty early on. It was produced for $46 million more than 30 years ago. It didn't even make $3 million. It was paid for by money from the Unification Church, the group that was long suspected of brainwashing homeless people here in America.
Okay.
And it's Laurence Olivier giving the worst performance of his life, which is saying a lot considering all the bad movies he made toward the end. He's playing General Douglas MacArthur, and it's about how God helped America win the Korean War. And it's boring, it's inept, it's way long. It's some of it's funny, but I think it was Newsweek magazine called it a turkey the size of Godzilla.
Wow. Critics are fun. You went from your living room in an apartment somewhere in Hollywood to
Right now,
the grand theaters of Hollywood, where you host the Razzie Awards. How did it happen? In short,
I'm sorry?
how did you go from your living
How
room
did it
to
happen?
grand theaters?
Well, the organization has gotten much larger. When I first started it, that very first Razzies, there were probably not even 40 people there that night. We now have more than 750 voting members in 47 of the 50 United States, and I think it's 18 or 19 foreign countries. And it's supported by the member dues that those voting people pay. But we've kept the price pretty low, and if that were the only source of funding we had, we'd be in trouble. It's part of why we're doing Indiegogo. The other interesting source of funding is we have, over the years, licensed the footage of Halle Berry, of Sandra Bullock, of Tom Green, of Paul Verhoeven to various television shows, and they pay what's called a license fee.
Yeah.
And that's the other revenue stream that we have.
Let's see, where were I? You say you say Can't Stop the Music and Sanity was the inspiration for the first Razzies. What made you do it the next year and the year after that? But mostly the next year.
Well, the reaction to the first one by the people who were there. After the fact, I sent out the first press release, and it did get one little tiny article in a San Fernando Valley newspaper. And the next year, I was invited to do an interview on Sunday morning on a TV show, and the fact that TV thought it was interesting struck me as significant. And it has been fun to do this all these years. Uh, One of the things a lot of people don't understand, this does not come from a place of anger or hatred. If it did, I'd have died of ulcers years ago. Um, I do love good movies as well as bad movies, and it's we mean it to be a making fun of rather than assassinating the material that we give the awards to. And I think the public understands that. I get the distinct impression that the movie industry doesn't. They just think anything you say that isn't positive is a bad thing.
Proof that any publicity is good publicity.
Well, we are the ultimate test of that. All right, is this any better?
Much better. Yeah, the question was that have you ever felt like you and the jury misjudged someone when someone deserved a Razzie even more?
I honestly don't think anyone who has won didn't deserve to win. There have been a handful of times where I personally thought something was worse than what won, but I don't think you can make a reasonable argument that anything that's actually won a Razzie wasn't bad. No. There have been a handful of times when the exact same performance or song, those are the only two categories, have been nominated literally for both an Oscar and a Razzie, and in all of those cases, whatever it was, it didn't win either one.
A book question now. In your book, you bring up a lot of movies. Mostly all of them are bad, but only half is Razzie winners. And the rest is Turkish from the 60s and 30s. Why is that? Why didn't you bring up more Razzie winners or nominees?
Because bad movies have existed as long as movies have existed. And the point of the book is fun bad, not just sit there and go, oh God, why am I wasting my time on this? And quite frankly, there were not 100 titles from our history, and the book is almost a decade old.
Yeah.
There were not 100 titles. I could make a good case you should actually waste your time watching, because there's a lot more stuff like Inchon in our history than there is Lonely Lady, Mommy Dearest, Showgirls, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you should update it with more Razzies, I think, but that's...
Well, talk to my publisher.
Give me the number and I'll complain. As a guy who owns your book, the official Razzie Guide, I have proof that you mentioned the term "so bad it's good." When do you see a movie go from so bad to so bad it's good?
I think that excuse me, one of the common elements in that kind of movie is that the people who are making it have literally no idea that they're funny. They're not trying to be. I actually think Faye Dunaway believes her impersonation of Joan Crawford in Mommy Dearest was brilliant. It's been satirized endlessly by drag queens for the last 35 years. There's a line that gets crossed between what they meant and what the audience is perceiving, and it's very hard to define that, but once it's crossed, the audience will not come back.
Yeah, but the thing is that I was shocked to find this out, but AFI, the ones who published these 100 movies,
Oh, AFI.
100 thrills, 100 romance and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They actually put Faye Dunaway's performance in Mommy Dearest in like 81 of the best female villains.
Okay, but that list, if I remember correctly, was Screen Villains.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not saying her performance is good, it's saying she's a scary character. I don't think they mean her performance was good.
Oh, then I miss
and the line about the wire hangers may also be in the list of the 100 most memorable movie lines. I don't know, but yeah, I don't think AFI was saying Mommy Dearest should be preserved in the Library of Congress. I hope not.
All right. Do you ever get complaints from previous Razzie winners that think their nominations or win was unfair?
My favorite response we ever got, and it was secondhand, after Battlefield Earth, which I think it's in the book as one of the 10 worst
Yeah,
movies
it's
ever.
in the very end, best of
Yeah,
the
yeah, the
very
10
worst.
worst. The next movie that John Travolta made, somebody on the press junket asked him in a one-on-one video interview, "Did you hear that Battlefield Earth won all of the Razzie Awards?" And he said, "I didn't hear about it. I have people I pay to keep me from knowing things like that," which I
Wow.
thought was fascinating. It's like that's like the ultimate perk of being famous and wealthy. You never see bad news. I mean, that's like the most indulgent thing I've ever heard in my life. There have been people who've publicly expressed they don't think we're funny. Um, Sylvester Stallone, throughout the 90s, it was like every single year he was
Oh yeah,
nominated.
yeah. I'm
And,
so after
you
reading
know,
your book, I'm sick of him.
yeah, yeah. He and I think it's Ernest Borgnine have the most titles in the book. But Stallone, at one point, we got a phone call that for legal reasons we have to say we don't know for certain is him, but a person who certainly sounded like Sylvester Stallone was complaining that his movies make money, so why do we pick on him? And quite frankly, if it bombs, it's going to get our attention, but if it's bad and it still made money, that doesn't get you out of being considered for a Razzie.
So what's the best moments of a Razzie Awards ceremony? It's like, you have any favorite categories? Do you like a ceremony more when the winner shows up, or?
Well, it's obviously more fun for the people and press in attendance if the winners show up. Um, like I said, I think Halle Berry's amazing speech about Catwoman is the best moment in our history, and part of it is Halle Berry had very specifically asked us not to tell anyone she was coming. And so it was a total surprise. And I think for a nanosecond, when she came out on the stage with the Oscar and the Razzie, I think the audience thought it was an impersonator for a moment. And then they realized, oh, wait, that's a real Academy Award. That's really Halle Berry. And they just went nuts. She got like a minute-long standing ovation before she said a word. And then after she did her speech, which was killer funny. I mean, she was hilarious.
She should get an Oscar just for that speech.
Uh-huh. Well, what's interesting is by doing that, by showing up and owning her bad is the phrase that we use now. By owning her bad, she put that movie behind her. The only time anyone ever mentions Catwoman anymore is in the context of, wow, you had the guts to go to the Razzie Awards and make fun of yourself and accept that award. And she still talks about it. She says it's one of the most empowering moments of her life because she walked out on that stage thinking we hated her and she got us to laugh.
Yeah.
And it was a victory for her. She did, like I said, she's put Catwoman behind her, which is kind of where Catwoman belongs.
But now she's nominated for a new one. Which one was it called?
Well, our rules say if you're in more than one bad movie in a year, we will list all the titles after your name. She was in a thing called The Call, in which she's trying to help. She's a emergency phone technician on the line with a girl in the car. And the other one is one of the worst picture nominees, a thing called Movie 43.
Yeah, I watched it. Awful.
Which is, I think that thing is a compilation of short movies all just kind of strung together. I don't think it was.
It's
I don't know. That's what it looks like to me.
It's a guy who gets ideas and he films them. It's like, okay, next one. This is my new idea.
Well, I think it has. I'm pretty sure Movie 43 with 96% negative reviews at a website called Rotten Tomatoes. I think it had the worst reviews of anything we nominated this year.
Roger Roper wrote "It's the Citizen Kane of bad movies."
I'll have to look for that quote because one of the devices we use in the show is quoting critics.
But
I should say one of the sadder things for us of this past year was the death of Roger Ebert because he wrote some of the best, funniest quotes about movies that he thought were terrible. He was a terrific critic.
Actually, I own a lot of books by him.
He deserved the success that he had, and he made it very clear he loved movies and he loved what he did. Yeah. It is too bad he's no longer available to provide quotes for us.
Yeah, that's gonna suck because now his website is run by lesser known ones. So it's like they're okay. They keep
Toward
his
the end,
memory.
he tried to revive the TV show,
Yeah.
and somebody dubbed his commentary, and it was very strange. It
Yeah, yeah.
didn't.
It's like this is Roger's picks. It's like
Yeah.
this is not my picks because I guess they didn't think anyone would like to listen to the computer speak.
No, he had a very slow and unpleasant end to his life. He did not deserve that.
No,
But
deserve better.
yes,
But he died in peace. It's like according to what I heard.
yeah, I think he clearly he understood what was coming.
Yeah, he just laid down, took a breath, and that was it. Surrounded by his wife and doctor. But I understand.
Yeah.
Please give me a moment. You have a website for the Razzies.
Yes.
Why don't you film the ceremonies and put it on there?
We don't have we don't we don't have enough bandwidth to simply stream it. And
I mean, like save it on YouTube, like the entire ceremony. Give me a ticket and I'll film it for you.
as I mentioned earlier, we have a channel on YouTube that has clips from past shows.
Yeah.
I think it's important, personally, to have the clip when you say, especially when you say but one, you need to be able to show them that performance or that movie or that what that director did with the material. And if you go on YouTube, they put commercials on it, and suddenly all the rules change. The way we've done it all these years, it's considered news use, and you don't have to get permission if you're doing it as a news event.
Yeah.
And we have certainly thought of that. We've been approached by various streaming companies and entities. The problem has always been they come up with it too close to when the show is going to be, and the logistics are just not doable. So part of what we are planning to do with the Indiegogo funding from this year is immediately after we finish this show, we're going to go ahead and edit it. We're going to put portions of it up on YouTube, and we're going to immediately go into pitch mode to try and get a deal for the 35th, which is in 2015.
Any special people who helped you along the way and motivated you to keep doing this annual thing?
Just people in general or famous people?
So no, like you can do it. You can do it.
Pardon?
No, nobody's like, come on, John, you can do it. Go out there and kick some butt.
But I mean, there's a core. I can't put on what we do every year all by myself. There's a core group of, I'd say, 12 to maybe 25 people who, over the years, cast members, technicians, my production partner, a lady named Bo Murphy, who has put her heart and soul into this thing. It can't be done by one person. In terms of well-known figures, the people who are supportive of us don't want it publicly acknowledged that they think we're funny. There is one particular director, one of whose films was adapted into a huge hit Broadway musical, then made into a film with John Travolta, but I'm not going to say his name. I think you can figure out who I mean, who has been a dues-paying voting member for something like 31 or 32 years now. I mean, but he doesn't want us to give out his name.
Okay,
So
then I won't ruin it all here.
let your viewers go to IMDb and they'll figure it out.
All right. Who do you hope wins the Razzie Award for this year's Worst Picture?
I'm kind of torn because there are 3 parent frontrunners based on the nominating balloting. After Earth is so awful, you want not just your money back, but your time.
Yeah.
Lone Ranger is one of those things where everyone but the people who put the money behind it could have seen it's never going to make back $250 million. What are you throwing all that money after something that...
Hey, we made Pirates of the Caribbean. This is just as good.
And then the other one, the one that I actually, while I was watching it, I resented how stupid it was. Adam Sandler, every time he makes a movie, I think, you know what, he can't do something worse. And yet the intelligence level should, I don't know if the word intelligence and Adam Sandler should be in the same sentence, but every movie he makes notches it down a bit more. And this one, it starts with a deer urinating in his mouth.
I've seen the clip.
Down from there.
I still think That's My Boy is much worse. I think.
I have to say, I think the worst of all of them was the one that is the only movie ever to win every single Razzie Award a couple of years back. Jack and Jill, where he played a pair of twins, and he did almost nothing to distinguish the female character from the male one. I mean, it was just amazing how lazy that thing was.
Well, Jack and Jill was just terrible, but That's My Boy was sick. Incest, Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, yeah, and he did. Sandler did win Worst Actor
That's
for
good.
both Jack and Jill and for That's My Boy, and he is nominated for Grown Ups.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
Sure, I don't think he's gonna. He's competing with Johnny Depp as Tonto,
Yeah.
and Sylvester Stallone is back for the first time in many years. Yeah, he's got. There's an awful lot of choices in the Worst Actor category, so I don't know if Sandler will win again.
You should give Sandler the worst career achievements of 2010.
Well, the one of the sadder things about Grown Ups too is that it was financially successful.
Yeah,
I don't know how they spent. I cannot imagine how they spent $80 million making that. That's what the industry guesstimate is of what that thing cost. But in America alone, it made over 130 million. So
that's so
there
freaking
may
bad.
be a Grown Ups 3. That's something to not look forward to.
It's a mystery how he keeps making movies.
Where
His
until
career?
he Grown Ups, so his career was really bouncing down the hillside headed to the gutter. I mean, the grosses, um, Just Go With It didn't quite make it to 100 million. Jack and Jill didn't make it to 85, and That's My Boy didn't even make it to 40 million domestic. And so he was in serious trouble, and I think that's part of why he did a sequel to something that had already succeeded. He figured, well, how can that fail?
Yeah, this is his first sequel. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much it, actually. Do you have anything else you want to say before we quit?
Just if I can put one more pitch for the Indiegogo, Indiegogo,
I'll
and
link it in the YouTube one.
yeah, that would be great. And hopefully your viewers get that this is supposed to be funny. I assume they do. Clearly, you do.
Yeah, it's freaking
And
amazing.
34 years, there has never been a year where we didn't have at least 12 to 15 titles that most people would agree deserve to be nominated for Razzies. And that's, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Well, then I guess there's nothing more for me to do than to thank you for your time and all of luck with the Indiegogo
Thank
campaign.
you so much. All right.
Right. Thank you
Bye.
very much. See you at the races.